Hello, everyone. I'm just letting everyone in today. So, as you're coming in, please feel free to put in the chat what your name is, where you're from. We'll just take a little minute or two to get everyone in. I can see people filing in, which is gorgeous. If someone does want to do the chat, then it also means I can check that that is working, which would be really, really appreciated. Yay! Thank you, Emily. That's my first one. The chat is working. That's always good to know. I hope everyone is well. What have we got? Chelmsford, Shropshire, shortly. Austria, North Wales, Kent, Essex, Cumbria. Oh, lots and lots of people. Southwest Wales, Cotswolds, London. Fabulous. I'll literally just give another 10 seconds. London, Wales, Preston, Essex, Dorset, another London. Yes, yes, yes. York. Awesome. I've got a nice mix. All right, well, I think that is everyone is coming in. So I will crack on because I've got lots to get through today. So welcome today I'm going to talk about visibility virality. This is part of the Small Business Saturday tour. So this is going on for the whole of the month. So you obviously can go and look and check out all the other ones. This session is recorded. So it's been recorded and you'll receive a replay afterwards from Small Business Britain. So if you have to leave halfway through, if there's lots of information you need to go back through it, don't worry, there will be a replay. If during the session, so I can see the chat, but what I'm asking is if you've got any very specific questions, please can you put them in the Q&A box? So then at the end, I will leave some time so I can do a Q&A and I'll try and go through as many as I possibly can. During the actual training, there are a few times where I'm asking you very specific questions to put in the chat. As I said, I can see the chat, so it's really, really helpful if you can actually make sure that you do chat there, so I'm not by myself. Also, if you want to turn on closed captions, you should be able to do that in your own Zoom screen by yourself. So there should be a button that you should click so you can see closed captions. And I just want to say a big thank you to BT Digital Skills for supporting the Small Business Saturday webinar program. And then I'm now going to crack into mine. So let me just minimize this. I'm going to share my screen with you all. We got share screen. Yes. Hello. Yes, perfect. Can someone just say you can definitely see me so I don't start doing a whole thing and no one can actually see me? Yes, you can see me. Fabulous. So, as I said, today I was going to talk about visibility with virality, which is the smarter way to attract and convert clients online. And if you've never met, my name is Charelle Griffith. And you can scan this QR code, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or on Instagram. I have done a post today saying like I'm doing this webinar. So if you join it and then afterwards you want to tag me, or if you want to say how much you enjoyed it or what was your biggest takeaway, that would be absolutely awesome. It's always nice to talk to new business owners. And today we are going to learn about what do you need, why you don't need to go viral on social media, sorry, the more viral types of marketing you should be doing for your business, and how to attract and convert clients online. Now, if we've never met before, my name is Charelle Griffith. I am a business growth and marketing strategist, and I specialize in helping micro service-based business owners. So I had a background of marketing. So for over 15 years, I started my career working like in industry. So I was in the live entertainment industry. I worked in London. I worked on lots of big West End shows and national productions, but then decided to go and use all the skills I learned to help people that run a micro business. So I take big business thinking and the best things that they're doing, but then bring them down to things that normally one person can do, whether that be you as the business owner, or whether you've got like a junior marketing person, a marketing manager, a VA, or something like that. I'm a chartered marketer. I am super dedicated to my profession, and I'm really proud to be a chartered marketer since 2020. And I do all of my marketing myself. So all the things I'm sharing are things either I do with clients or things I actually do myself in my business. And my marketing has won awards, both my blogging and my content marketing in general. I'm currently a LinkedIn top voice as well. And I'm an F entrepreneur. There's me earlier this year with the small business team as part of the F entrepreneur going to London and has Lords. So what I wanted to say is like, I know marketing like the back of my hands. I know how to use marketing for sales, but also the reality of doing it by yourself. So virality, this is what we're talking about today, first of all, because, oh, gone the wrong way there. Have you ever thought if only my content went viral, like my business would blow up. Has anyone ever thought that before? I know it's something, if you spend time on social media, lots of people do think about, because they think it's going to mean that they get their eyes seen by lots and lots of businesses, lots and lots of people. They're going to have the sales flood in. And there definitely are stories where it does happen, but it's not the thing that you absolutely need to. And it seems actually here a lot of people don't want that. So I'm amazed everyone's here for this webinar if you're not actually bothered about being viral. Um, so yeah, people say if I just go viral, everything will change. And here I have got a what's it called? A screenshot of, so I have a TikTok, I have a number of TikTok accounts. This one is not like my marketing one. This is another one I run all on like travel content. And this was a post I did last year that did go viral. And I'm not someone that usually goes viral in any way, shape, or form. It's a very rare occurrence for me. However, this one did, and it ended up hitting 2.7 million views, 317,000 likes, 1,081 comments, 10.6k saves. Now, and this included some big brands, including like Google, ended up commenting on it. Like it really did blow up. Now, this didn't, because it's on like another one of my TikTok accounts, it didn't actually make a big difference to my life, to my business, anything like that. But the reality is, even people, when these sort of numbers happen on their business account, it doesn't. Because the reality is, virality doesn't always do what you want it to do. And I'm going to explain a little bit why. So, because here's what no one tells you about going viral. One, you end up with more comments than you can physically respond to, or you spend bags and bags of time on it. So the photo on the right is I had a post a few years ago when I was on a staycation, not a staycation, a workcation in Portugal. Now, I was at the time, TikTok wasn't a platform you could schedule. And so I had everything in my draft page going. In the morning, I'd just post a TikTok and then I would get on with my day. Now, one day I reopened my TikTok app and I just was like, oh my gosh, my like notifications are absolutely going crazy. And I really realized like one of my photos was gaining not virality in any way, shape, or form, but was clearly gaining a lot of traction. Now, because at that moment in time, I'd never had a post that went that well, I had the sort of rule, which was you respond to every single person who sends you a message or comments on your videos. And so there I was, meant to be sunbathing, and I ended up sitting there for hours commenting back on every single one. And that was the moment where I realized, actually, yeah, virality probably isn't the dream if you've got a rule of commenting back to every single one. And so now I'm much more like, actually, if a video goes past a certain point, or if a post goes past a certain point, I let myself off that rule. And actually, on the photo on the left, this is a post from very recently, this on LinkedIn, again, definitely not viral, was just a more popular post than me in general. That had, I think at the time when I started trying to comment back to everyone, like it had 50 comments. That means, you know, I spent a few hours one evening trying to go back through all them. And I'm like, actually, if you get real virality, the point is you will struggle to actually comment back on everyone. So that also is something to like be like, if you're one of the people like me that wants to comment back on everything, it does become an issue. Secondly, it can start to attract the wrong audience. As posters go viral, what happens is they just get pushed out further and further and further. And yes, a percentage of those people are going to be your target, but a lot don't, and it can end up being problematic. Actually, there were a few. So the reason why I wrote the child-free post is because I'm a co-founder of a company that is for women in business that do not have children, and there definitely were a few people that were not the target audience that post got shown in front of. They started commenting. Luckily, it didn't get too nasty, but I have known clients where it's got nasty. I have seen other people where it's got problematic because they are being pushed in front of the wrong audience. And this is going to happen much more likely if you go viral. Thirdly, you can feel the pressure to replicate it. There is nothing more daunting about trying, if you're doing social media, to be like, what should I post next after you've had a viral post? Because you know, all of a sudden, you might have got a whole new bulk of followers. You might have just had the algorithm's going to be more in your favor, and you're thinking, all these people are going to be looking at me. And that is going to give you more pressure than you need. And no business owner needs extra pressure on what they're posting on social. And if you're focusing on trying to go viral, the actual reality is you are creating content for attention. You're thinking, what is going to get me attention, rather than necessarily positioning yourself as an expert. Now, there are ways that you can cross this over, but it can be very, very easy to end up just creating content for the algorithm, creating it for attention and not actually doing what your content needs to do, which is to position you as an authority. And so that's why virality doesn't equal sales. There are lots of people that have mass audiences that do not make the sales that they need to be making in their business. And there's lots of people that have a viral post that doesn't equal sales. So yes, there definitely are some stories where someone's woken up. I particularly hear on TikTok where like a shop will have gone overnight, it's gone absolutely crazy, and they've woken up and all the orders are going through. So I'm not denying, but for many, many businesses, virality is definitely not required to be great at selling. And the thing is, aiming to go viral is actually a distraction. I know as a small business owner that your time and your energy are really, really precious. And so trying to go viral can be you're trying to keep up and join in with every single trend. That means you're having to spend more time on social media in order to stick up with it. Like if you're trying to be like on Instagram and on TikTok and you're using like the latest sounds, for example, that means you're having to pay attention. If you're trying to see like when people are like, what's the trend this week, you're having to be concentrating on that and giving that. Secondly, that level of being in social media and having to look through content can make this constant comparison much more than actually if you're creating content on social media very much in your own lane, and so you're not having to pay as much of a attention to it. Then making content for the algorithm rather than for sales. As I said, you're going to be actually putting your focus in the wrong place, and then creating viral style content that attracts the wrong people. And then over focusing on social media. Like actually, I've seen a few comments, people are like, you know, it is draining. Lots of people are talking about how social media is too time consuming, it's draining, it's not necessarily great for their mental health. There's so many reasons why you do not want to be over focusing on social media. And so I'd love to know right now, how much time are you currently spending creating social media content? Got too much, too long, 3 hours, not enough, less than 24 hours per day. 1 hour per week, 1 hour per week, next to none, 0, 1 to 2, a few hours a week, 5 hours minimum, 2 hours, oh, 15 minutes a day, 0, 1 to 2 hours per week, a few hours a day. So varied, very, very varied. Yeah, that's interesting to know the differences. People from very not a lot to like quite considerable amount of time. Um, so we want to obviously try and use this time in the best way possible. So rather than focusing on content that explodes, you should be focusing on content that compounds and converts. And so the aim is to be taking people through the whole buyer journey. One of the problems with virality is what you are doing in many ways is getting new people aware of your business and nothing else. And so we're going to talk about how that's the problem and what we need to be doing instead. So if you think about it, when you're taking people to buy from you, they have to go on a journey. They will start from never having heard of you. And as I said, like one of the reasons with viral posts, why they can be great for your business in a form is they help new people to be aware of you. And I think actually, as I saw in the comments, someone was like, I'm too old school. Like I go to events, for example. That's another way people can become aware of you. There are multiple ways that people become aware of you. But between someone first hearing about your business and then someone actually making a sale, they is a journey, and it's your job as a business owner to make sure that you are creating marketing that is enabling people to go along that journey. And so the buyer journey, as I'm going to talk about today, we're going to talk about awareness, engagement, and conversion. Now, you may have heard people talk about this in different ways. It can be done as like awareness and nurturing conversion. It can be done as awareness, interest, desire, action. There can be some other acronyms probably that other people make up nowadays. The acronym, the wording doesn't matter. That essential idea is what I need you to think of as being like, how do I take someone from first being able to know me, give them all the information they need in order for them to then buy? That's what the main purpose of your marketing is to do. So you need to be mapping out your buyer journey based on your marketing. And so I'm going to talk very, very briefly just about like how this can look, because some things work in different ways. So for awareness, you could be using something like search engine optimization. So you can be creating content that's optimized for search so people find you. Now, when we talk about search now, big broad terms, this can be also people are finding you on ChatGPT. People can be doing it on a search engine. They could be doing it in YouTube. They can be doing it on TikTok. You've got social media. As I said, viral posts would be classed as a piece of social media content that's for awareness. This is where you're getting new people in. You can do advertising, prospecting, where you're just actually going specifically like, these people have never heard of my business ever before, but I want to get in front of them. And you might do things like affiliates and collaborations where you're working alongside other businesses or other brands, knowing that they will be able to promote you to their audience, and that will help people that have never heard of you before hear you for the first time. Then once they're aware of you, you want to continue this relationship. So you can do things like email marketing, you can do social media, you can do advertising, which is retargeting. So this way specifically you're like, they've done this in the past, whether that's on your website or on social media, and so I want to send them something else. And you can create long form content. You can have really great pieces of podcasts and YouTube videos and blog posts that really help people to know more information about you and your business and what you do. And then for conversion, it might be you're doing things like sales calls. It might be you have sales pages where people can buy directly. It might be you do things like webinars. So as you can see, and that is just like the tip of the iceberg of options. And this is what I really want to emphasize with you, is the fact you have got options. And so then when you look at it, you can map this out. So you could be someone that's like, I'm going to have a long form content and I go through to emails and I go through to then a sales page. This is like a format lots of my clients use, for example. Then you might be someone that's like, actually, like, no, some of the people, as you said in the chat, some of you are on social a lot. And I imagine then yours is more likely to be this middle one where you're like, I'm doing social media for my awareness and I'm nurturing them all. And then I'm getting people either like onto a sales call or onto a sales page. Or then you can mix it up even further by doing things like, you might be like, you're speaking and then it goes through to an email, then it goes through to a sales call. So they're just examples. So if you thought about the table that I showed before, what your job would be is to make sure with the marketing channels you have right now, some of them are for awareness, some of them are for engagement, some of them are conversion. And what you need to ensure is that you remember the purpose for what you're using the platform for, because it's easy to start using it for other reasons, especially if you're just like picking up pieces of tips and tricks from different people. That's one of the things that's really important in social media as well, is you have to remember not everyone that is on social media is using it for the same reason that you as a business are. And that's why sometimes you can get some misleading advice. So attracting your dream client or customer. As I said, we first of all need to make content for awareness that's going to make new people aware of your business. What is your ideal client or customer searching for? Can people share? I'll be interested to know what people think. Because I know search isn't the one that people necessarily spend as much time on anymore, thinking it's a bit dead, and it definitely isn't. Business energy saving, grave tending cleaning. Anyone else got something? Sustainable fashion, cooking in the outdoors. Oh, that one sounds fun. How to write a book, original art, unique product, esquident, clean, toys, fantasy romance books, tourists, website copy, empathy, accounting, lots and lots of different things. So at least lots of people are answered. So you know that people are searching for things. And as I said, where they search now can be a whole broad spectrum of things. The days of it just being a good old search engine like Google are long gone. And the good news is most of the techniques you learn for search engine optimization are pretty much the same. If you've learned them, you can be able to use them in different places, whether that's stuff like YouTube, whether that's trying to use them for like the LLMs, if you want to use it on social platforms. And the screenshot at the bottom right is from TikTok, but actually now more and more the other social platforms are becoming more led by using search as well. And so like for me, one of my main things is like, as I said, I do marketing for micro businesses. And so marketing for solopreneurs is one of the things I'm really passionate about. And so like I created a blog post specifically for that. And it did for a very long time. I didn't actually check this today, was performing very well on the first page. And so what keywords would you love to rank for? Like this is something to think about. I think now people are very, very easy to just dismiss their search. And it's like, maybe you've only got 1, 2, or 3, but it's like, actually, if I really wanted to make new people aware of me all the time, what would be the keywords that I would love to rank for? And is anyone right now actually is trying to rank for them? Oh, I'm just gonna have a little look in the chat. So look, people are having a full-on conversation. Yes, we've got some. Anyone else know what keywords? Humane coaching and consulting. So someone said, I don't know what ranking them means. So in terms of when I talk about ranking, it would be the idea of like you want to be found based on those keywords. So historically, the easiest way would have been people used to talk about you want to be on page 1 of Google. So you wanted to be on the first page. Now it might be also you want to be the top hit. So it might be that if someone is looking for a like they're on TikTok and they're trying to find something, you're like, I want to be one of the top 2 videos that appears. It might be that if you're going through like on YouTube, again, you want to be one of the first few videos that appears that someone. So that's what I mean by if you want to rank. So you want to be one of the top ones. And search can mean your content brings awareness for years. And this is why I talk about this as the complete opposite to virality. Because here's like some screenshots of people that said to me like, I actually came across you from one of your blog posts. I found you via Google search. And I will always ask people when they find me how they find out about me. And it amazes me when I ask people specifically how, sometimes the piece of content is from years ago. There's particularly in social, this still happens as well. Like this happens with TikTok videos I made like 2-3 years ago when I used to post. There was a phase where I posted 3 times a day. And there's a few of those videos that still get circulated and pushed out and bring new people through. So I think in terms of the opposite of virality, I just want you to be like, actually, some piece of content you create will be more beneficial for your business for over a long term. And that's really important for you because that's what's going to help with the sustained sales. Next, we're going to talk about social. So as I said, social can be used in different ways. And I want to talk about what you need to think about is what will get people sharing my content or tagging other people. So one of the reasons why when I got that viral post was because so many people were in their comments tagging. So they were basically being like to their friends, like, yes, we need to do this. Everyone was just, I basically made a whole load of people go on holiday this year with their friends because everyone was tagging their friends like, let's go do this. And so you need to be thinking, that's why if you ever see people that are like, oh, I like tag a friend. So you see this a lot when businesses do competitions, for example. They don't just say like, you can win it. They're like, who will you go with? Because they know by you tagging someone else, the reality is that person that gets tagged into it might not be someone who knows. And so that's when we talk about social for awareness, you need to be like, how am I getting in front of new people? Historically, that would have been keywords, but for many of the platforms, I mean hashtags, but for many of the platforms, hashtags are becoming increasingly less important. So now you've got to use tactics like, yeah, are you tagging new people to get in front of them? Or are you creating types of content that get pushed out in front of new audiences? For example, on Instagram, at the moment, there's like the trial reel feature, which specifically is shown to people who are not your followers. So you know this is, if you're posting a trial reel, that is purely a piece of awareness content because the whole point is they're meant to be someone who doesn't follow you. Nurturing then your dream client. So once they first become aware of you, oh, someone said they can't get the trial feature. Sorry, I don't know the rules about who does and doesn't get. That's also surprising because I definitely thought like everyone in the UK had it now. Content for nurturing. The purpose of this content is to get people to know your business better and how you can help them. So this is like they know you now. Your business exists, but they're not going to just start buying from you straight away. So you can use things like social, email, long form content, and retargeting ads. So you need to think about what do people need to know about your business and your offers in order to buy. Someone said basically getting them off socials. No, it definitely doesn't have to be about getting them off social. As I said to you before, some people have social for their awareness, social for their engagement, and then they only take them off to convert. Like they'll only take them off to a sales page, or they'll only take them off to have a sales call. So it doesn't need to be. Yes, like some of them do take people off, but you can stay on social. It just depends on if your purpose is to drive people straight from social to sales or not. So yeah, you need to think about how your business, what people need to know about your business and your offers in order to buy. And really using this phase is where we're going to look at the know, like, and trust factor. And so 5 factors I always talk about are consistent brand, demonstrating your expertise, video content, social proof, and being human. So for branding, you need to remember a brand is more than your logo, and you want every single touch point to count. So what I mean by this is, when people are going to buy from your business, they need to have a certain amount of interactions with your business. Now, depending on the research you read, it can be anywhere from like 10 to 15 people say. And so what that means is you want to make sure that your brand is consistent so that people understand that every single time they've heard you on a podcast, they've seen you in a YouTube video, they've read a blog post, they've seen a social media post, an email comes in, you want them to realize that's all coming from the same business. Otherwise, you are losing out on a touch point and it's going to take you longer to make that sale. And so in order to really be consistent about brand, as I said, it's more than a logo. So you need to think about things about your actual personality, your brand tone of voice, your brand archetype, your coloring, like the words you use, all of these things that make up your brand. But you want people to be able to recognize your business in every single place that you work. That's the main aim. Secondly, you want to be demonstrating your expertise. So creating content that positions you as an expert, and the more specific you can be, the better. Now, I usually, as I said, most of my work is with people that are looking for clients and customers, and so they are an authority, they're a leader, they're an expert in their field. But this still can also be applied to people that are like makers and have product-based businesses, for example. So there's some really good examples nowadays of like founder-led product-based businesses where the founders really are owning the fact that, like, I follow someone who is like in the not wellness, like skincare, and you know, I see videos of her in her lab coat mixing up new formulas for what's going to be her new lash formula or her new moisturizer or whatever, and really leaning into that. There's a particular person who I see their videos quite often as well, of like, she's a jewelry maker, and like I see her making the actual jewelry and like doing sketches of the prototypes. And I've seen designers for clothes labels that are doing the same, where they're literally like, I have got like the mock-ups and I'm like, that's not quite right, the fabric wasn't right, so I'm going to change it and get someone else back, or they show their sketches. So there are ways, even if you are a product-based business, to really demonstrate your expertise and the level of like attention and detail and just like focus that is going into what you are creating. Like, this isn't just something that's just appearing on a website today. Like, there's been thought, there's been care, and like that's been put into it beforehand. That really helps people to connect with your business, and then your product isn't going to just sit there the same as everyone else's. Thirdly, we're going to look at video content. So this is the fastest way to build a know, like, and trust factor. Lots of the people that I just mentioned for products, because it's not my world, the people that I just thought of, all the people that I know from video, because I see them. And there is something about when you are watching videos of people where you would just connect and you remember them so much easier, because not only are you getting to see them. So it's like for years, everyone said, like, don't have your brand as your logo, like have your face, because your face is much more memorable than your logo is. But on top of that, as soon as you are using video, you get this ability, because you can see people, you can hear them. So you are having more senses of being turned on, and that is what's going to enable you to remember them. And that's what helps people to build that know, like, and trust factor. But it also is really important when it comes to being recommended or being referred, which is also what all businesses want. So really think about, can I be using video content for my business? And I want to make it super clear, you do not have to be every single where. You do not have to be somewhere you don't want to be. So if you are like, the thought of doing YouTube videos and having to sit down and edit something, and I don't want to do it, fine. If every single time I've mentioned TikTok so far, you've literally been like, oh my gosh, I absolutely hate it, then again, you don't have to. Someone just asked, what about faceless videos? So I, on the whole, would be encouraging you to put your face out. Obviously, there is some businesses that very much are like, there is no face on their business. And I know that does work, but I would say for 95% of people, a face in a business is really important. That's why you're actually even seeing a rise in employee generated content, where brands are actually like getting their employees to be making content, because they're like, we know people is what people connect to. It's human to human that buy, it's people that we connect to. And so if you can put a face into your videos on the whole will do better. Okay, cool. So getting started with a video. So if you want to get started, I just wanted to quickly do a work out what is easiest. So you've got some options. You can be doing live versus recorded. So you can be someone that's like, I want to go live because I just want to sit down and do it and it's done. So I personally now prefer doing live versus recorded. I did start doing recorded, but now I get bored about having to sit there, listen to my voice, spend more time editing. I'd much rather go live. So think to yourself, which one would I prefer? Do I want to go live? Do I want to go recorded? Secondly, solo versus being with someone else. So you might be someone that's like, actually, I can talk for days and I can do this by myself. Or you might prefer the fact like, actually, no, if I was someone, like if they're interviewing me, they're asking questions, it's back and forth. That's going to feel so much easier. Then the third thing is short form versus long form. So do you want to be creating short, snappy, 1 minute to 90 seconds type of videos, which is like the videos you're going to see is like Instagram Reels and then a TikTok and Facebook Reels? Or do you want to do long things? Do you want to do the videos we think about more, where you could be doing like a longer live, sort of like on a LinkedIn or a Facebook or any other social media platform, or doing a recorded longer video, which might go on something like YouTube? So think about those three things and work out, okay, what is the easiest for me to get started with and commit to doing that. And then you can always build up for everything else. Like, okay, start small and then build up. And then also I just want to talk about, you don't need fancy equipment. So the photo of me is like me and my old iPhone, because that was how I started with video. And I say to people, if you've got a phone, like really in England, like get a ring light or get some type of light in some way, shape, or form, because unfortunately half the time it's dark, so you might not have enough natural light in your house. And then you may want to get a mic, but most people can get away with literally, if you're very lucky and you've got the right facing window, you could probably get away with just your phone and being in the window, or just being able to get a light. So who at the moment actually is creating videos with their face in them for their business right now? Can people just share in the comments? Yeah. Oh, yay! We've got quite a lot of people. That's probably my... Okay, good. I've done one. That's at least you started. Whoever said they've just done one, at least you started. And then someone's like, I've got my dog, could you do dog training? I'm sure those videos do really well because people love a video of a dog or a cat. Um, so someone just said, I'm worried about people get bored of seeing me. I'm going to make this super, super clear. If someone keeps on getting showed your content, that is because someone is engaging with your content. Your content is very unlikely to keep on appearing in front of someone who is not interested. So never ever worry about like boring people, because it literally over time your content, if you think about actually like the percentage of people, particularly in the social, if we think about the people that see it, if we're like as a max, and I always try and be super kind of like 5% of people are going to see your content, when that goes out, then over time it's not like it goes 5%, the next 5%, the 5%, it rotates through people. The people that are engaged are the people that then get served more and more and more. So it actually ends up being that those people are seeing your content more, and the people that are bored of your content and they'll stop engaging your videos and they'll stop being shown videos. So do not worry about that. Social proof. You need to be gaining social proof. Buying from a business is risky. People need proof, especially when it's a small brand. So, and ideally, you want to be trying to look for somewhere that's a third party. So you can be doing this like on Google, you could be doing this on LinkedIn. I do a lot of space, I do a lot of work with people in the financial space. So that like vouch for is a really popular one. You might have a niche version based on your industry. Like it could be, if you're a trader, it could be want to be like check a trade. Like, yeah, look for places where people are actually going to have to give their reviews as a third party, and so that makes people have that second level of trust around it. But don't let them stay there. You need to then be sprinkling that social proof across your content. So that means, yes, maybe you do put that in some social media posts. Maybe you do put that into your sales emails, whether they're like a newsletter one or whether you're doing like some automated ones. Make sure they are on your website, on your actual sales pages, for example. Make sure they're not just sitting where they're gathered. Then we've got be human. So, as I've said multiple times today, people buy from people. And so you really want, where possible, as I said, try and put some of your face in it or try and put someone's face in it. And you want to try and, if possible, and you feel comfortable with it, add in a human element. So By this, I mean sharing content that will help people connect with you on a personal level. So I've got an example on this slide. Usually I do them on the weekend, if I'm super honest, on LinkedIn. I would try and do posts where I'm trying to be a bit more human. Like, I'm not someone who naturally wants to share my whole life with people on social media, but I know it helps people to connect. And one of my things is, like, I go to Notting Hill Carnival every year. So usually, and that's on a bank holiday weekend. So it feels also like the most non-businessy time of the year, probably, to get away with it. So I'll always post about me being going to Notting Hill Carnival. Every single year I'll always post about it. And that helps people to like see I'm a person. It really connects. Also, like, I talk about, I'm a work hard, party harder person. A lot of my things about business are like building a business that enables you to live your best life. And so I'm like, okay, I do share some elements. And those posts usually are the ones that get a lot of engagement. Now, this does connect back to what we say about virality. It can be the wrong type of engagement, and it can be people that aren't going to convert into clients or customers. However, what it does mean is every now and again, you will get a post that just gets you back into people's brains, and it will push you back out in the algorithm a little bit. And again, we're doing this actually for a know, like, and trust factor, which is people remember people. And so actually, if a few personal elements help people to feel closer to you and remember you, it's worth it. Um, and remember, this does not mean you have to share everything, okay, when it comes to being human. Like, you absolutely get to decide what you will and you won't share, okay? I know it can feel, for some people, it can feel as if actually I don't want to put my whole life out there. And obviously, because we have influencers, it makes people feel like that's what we're talking about when we say sharing stuff. It absolutely doesn't. With most of my clients, actually, what we sit down is we choose between 3 to 5 things and talk about how are you going to share those things, sprinkle them through so that people have got some hooks and it can connect with you without it being like taken over. So someone mentioned, I don't want to share my family. That really is like a very, very common thing. People are like, I don't want to share my family. People that have children, they're like, I don't want to share my children, for example. And people do this in different ways. Some people are like, they will have photos and they blur out the photo, or they like put emojis over their kids. Or some people are like, no, kids do not exist in any way, shape, or form. I'm very much the same. Like, I'm like, you will never see a photo, like, if you ever see a photo of me with other people in any of my social, I've always asked that person. Like, I'm like, I've decided to be online, not my friends, not my family. And so I'm really strict about that as well. So yeah, you absolutely have the right to work out, this is what I do share and this is what I don't share. And obviously you also have the right to change that over time. So using your content to highlight potentials and generate leads. So as we said, we're building a like trust factor. The whole point is moving people through the buyer journey. And sometimes you've got to work out, okay, how am I getting people into a sales position? So in my world, obviously I work with a lot of people that are trying to highlight potentials and leads. So this is probably a little bit more for people that are doing like sales calls and are doing, rather than people that are trying to lead someone straight to a sales page, but you probably still can use it, to be fair. So we've got hand raiser content. So this is where you're getting people specifically you're using your content to highlight people who would be someone who's suitable for your product or your service. Now, as like part of my mix, I use blogging. Now, I use blogging sometimes for search reasons, but sometimes I'm also using them as hand raiser content because I'm specifically writing blog posts that I know if someone is interested in this topic, that also means they're going to be suitable for my service. And so one side of that is like, I will post that. So every Wednesday you'll see I do a new blog post. And here's one like I did about preparing to successfully scale your one-on-one service business. And someone like responded to being like, oh, great post, clear steps on what is needed to prepare to scale. And that meant I then could have a bit of a conversation in the DM. So I had a little chat with her. Turned out she was thinking of scaling. We got on a call. She ended up working with me. Now, you might be like, oh, well, that I would never I wouldn't want to go and have that conversation. Another way you could be using it is if you're sharing blog posts that you specifically, or podcast, YouTube, any of these things would work. And you're then like, people are going through your emails. So if you're sending out to your email list, you can be tagging all the people that are clicking on specific pieces of content. And then you could have an automated email sequence off the back of that. So actually, all of a sudden, you can see how one piece of content can be used in multiple ways. You can create a piece of long form content that's optimized for search, but you can include it on social media as a way to highlight people that would be a potential good person for you to work with. And also you can be sending out to your email list and ensure you're tagging them so that they're automatically getting put into a sales funnel. So there's so many ways to like be able to use a piece of content and get more life out of it. And then another thing I really want to think about is about leads over likes. So some of my content does absolutely horrendous, and some of my clients' content, especially, I want to particularly put the thing in the air, the finger in the air for when it is social LinkedIn, because LinkedIn in particular, I find, because people know if they comment that they're going to be seen by other people, so they comment less. That doesn't mean they're not clicking on links. That doesn't mean they're not taking other actions. I've seen with so many clients where their post gets crickets, but actually we can see the amount of traffic on the back end is going through the website, or the amount of people that DM them the code word and all that type of stuff. So this example where, yeah, on the outside, this looks like it's dire, but it did exactly what it needs to do. I was doing a masterclass about getting fully booked and staying fully booked, and the person commented being like, when I'm fully booked, my marketing is the first thing to go, signing up for your masterclass. Like, that was the precise purpose of that post. I'm not bothered that it didn't get loads of likes. I have lots of other posts that get way more likes, but they don't actually get people into the action. And so this is what we're saying when we're looking at the buyer journeys, being like, are you using social? This got her off. It got them on her into the masterclass so I could sell to her. Like, is your social doing what it needs to do? Or is it just generating whole loads of likes, which actually isn't growing your business? And then, as I said, with her, that person came into my masterclass, so they're on my mailing list. And once they're on your mailing list, you can be gathering information. As I said, you can be tagging people, like what links are they clicking in, what's the types of emails they're opening, which you can then be using to segment, and then you can send targeted emails. One of the biggest like gold mines most small business owners are sitting on is they have an email list which is absolutely full of potential, and they're not using it enough. If you are just sending out a newsletter, you are not using email marketing to the max. I'm just going to put that out there and move on. So, converting your dream client. Not everyone buys like you. So this is something that is really difficult, especially if you don't have a whole team around you to remember all the time, which is that people buy in very different ways. And if you are marketing in the way that you like to buy, that is going to be having a negative impact. So there are 4 main buyer types, which I'm going to quickly whiz through. So we have got the assertive driver, the expressive, the analytical, and the amiable. So the assertive driver is someone who is outcome focused. They care about efficiency, results, and control. The analytical person is someone that's logic driven. They care about accuracy, evidence, and process. The expressive is someone who's emotionally driven. They care about possibilities, self-expression, and creativity. And then we've got amiable. This is someone who's relationship orientated, care about trust, connection, and security. Now, I am an analytical buyer. I'll put my hand up. I'd love in the comments people say which one you think you are. Are you someone that's like outcome focused, so you're assertive driver? Are you logic driven, so you're analytical? Are you emotionally driven, so you're expressive? Or you're relationship orientated, so you're amiable? So we've got analytical, expressive. I mean expressive. Oh, anyone else? Analytical, expressive, assertive driver, analytical, amiable, expressive, amiable, expressive, analytical, expressive, analytical, assertive, analytical, amiable, analytical. Okay, that's enough of alliteration before I stop. So what the reason I'm asking though is to show people were responding in different ways. And so that shows that people do buy for different ways. And therefore, if you want to be maximizing your sales, you also need to be thinking about this. This is particularly important when you get to any of your last pieces of content. So the content that's meant to be driving a sale, those types of pieces of content, you want to really be thinking about what type of buyer is this going to appeal to? And there are ways you can adjust your content to be like, okay, this is going to appeal more to one type than another. And usually most businesses will have like there will be a more popular buyer type. And it's very often because if you look at the buyer type and the type of content they're making, those two things go together. But when you start getting strategic with your content and creating a more rounded mix, it does widen out the amount of people that are going to buy from you, which makes it easy for you to make sales. So, well, I'll just actually that. So rather than being a one-hit wonder in social media, the aim is for you to be a business that has a multi-channel presence, because multi-channel marketing makes your business feel as if it's everywhere. When you have a viral video, people see it and you might have this moment, but it's in one place. And actually, loads of the places no one else knows about it. For example, actually, I was talking to a client yesterday, a piece of content that I'd seen blow up over the last week. I've seen so many pieces of content being made off the back of it, but because it was on TikTok, she was absolutely none aware of it. And I was literally like, this is so in your niche. The fact you're not aware of it is like quite worrying. But it shows because she's not on TikTok, she just had missed out on that whole like thing that was happening. Now, that's what happens if you're a one-hit wonder. If you just have a one-hit wonder, you just have a post that goes viral on LinkedIn, or you just have a post on Instagram, yeah, it's great for that platform, but it doesn't make a difference. Whereas when you have a multi-channel marketing presence, what that means is your business will feel like it's everywhere, which actually makes it feel bigger, because people are like, oh, if I'm seeing them here, there, and everywhere, like they're doing well, they're big, it builds that trust, it makes it feel like a bigger brand that's safer to purchase through. And also, mainly, if you looked at lots of things I spoke about today, was the majority of content finding ways that they live longer than a viral social post. A viral social post, even if it does really well for your actual sales, it's going to be a moment, it's going to be a spike, rather than being able to have sales that keep on coming in month after month after month, which is what most of us are wanting. So to recap, going viral won't solve your marketing and sales problems. You need to instead map out the buyer journey so you understand what you're using each marketing channel for, and then create content purposely based on whether it's meant to be for awareness, for nurturing, or conversion. So what has your biggest takeaway been today, or what are you going to do? I always want to make sure people are actually taking an action, not just going to switch it off and go back to work. Put my face out there. Be more authentic. Oh, don't worry about the numbers. What have I done to make you think don't worry about the numbers? More videos, SEO on TikTok. Oh, creating videos, the 3-step process, reconsidering which channels, looking at Substack for a newsletter, think about the buyers running track, creating blogs. I'm going to create a video. Oh, video speaking to camera. Yay. If you post that, I will read it. I will watch it. Let me know where it is. Okay, so over to you. I have got a little workbook to help people work this out, to really map out that buyer journey and create content that converts. So I'll put that QR code up. If you do, if you have enjoyed this, please do tag me. If you did any stories on Instagram, make sure you tag me. Yeah, if you do any content, like if you do make a video, feel free to tag me and say, I did a video, Charelle, and I'll absolutely come and check it out. I love to see people actually implementing what I teach, rather than just being like, I came here for no reason and no one got any value out of it. So I literally will stop this, and then I've got Q&A. I haven't looked at the Q&A, so I do not know how many things there are in it. So let me just stop my screen. And then, right, I'm just going to pull up the Q&A, and also I'll put the link for that workbook. So, all right, Q&A is, I've got 12 questions and 12 minutes. Someone said, how often would you restart the flow, i.e. going from awareness to conversion? So I do not, the way you do this depends on some people's businesses. So actually, if you want to be making consistent sales, it should be that really you want this to be like happening continually. So some people, if they're like, for example, just using social media, definitely do go through phases where they're like, this is an audience growth phase, and they're just like, I'm trying to grow my audience, grow my audience, grow my audience. Or you can see that where like people might have list building phases. So they might be like, I'm going to be putting on a webinar, I'm going to be putting a workshop or something like that. And so they're like, all my focus is on that, because they're trying to get as many people to come and they're trying to build their list. And then obviously then they're selling off the back of that. So in that sense, people have got very clear, like maybe list building phases, like nurturing phases, and then conversion phases. I, however, am someone that generally is like, I'm like build buyer journeys, or sales funnels that operate all the time. So all the time you are bringing people into your world and you're converting them. If you are doing it in this section, what that is more likely to mean is it's more like when people have got launch campaigns, and you're going to have more peaks and troughs, because it's going to be like, these are peak periods where I'm doing all that pushing, I'm actually doing the sales. But if you've got periods when you're not, it might totally dry out. Now, if you're going to use that, I'd argue you need to have a two-layer process. So you have a process where there are some things that's automated that should mean that you can be continually bringing in consistent sales, and then you can have more like launch moments or like promotional pushers on top of that. I hope that answers your question. So I've answered Zara. All right. What was the last bit on the conversion section on the awareness conversion chart? Did you so on the chart, I think I probably would have put sales calls, sales pages, and webinars. But essentially, it just means anything when you actually are making the sale. So you just want to think about the final, like, how do people give you money? That's what we think about when we think about conversion. So just being like, this is the moment where it's actually sales rather than marketing. Okay. All right. Does keeping people in social for the funnel rely on having a large audience, number of views, paying for ads? I get nowhere with the algorithm without. Okay. So you can actually, the number of your audience doesn't really matter. You absolutely can have a fairly small audience that's engaged and still be able to use social media for your engagement part of the purpose, and then move them on to nurturing. I've seen people do this with all different types of audience sizes. It definitely doesn't, you don't need to have a big audience. If you've got a smaller audience though, what does become more important is what we're saying about actually having a conversation, like having the conversation, having people actually engaging in your content, and being to have those that. Otherwise, the algorithm will just mean it just dies out and no one ever sees your content. But like, as I said already, because what happens is usually only a percentage of your content gets shown to people, then what happens is if they engage, they're going to get shown more of your content. And it will still become a bit of a viral cycle in their world, that they'll see you more often and more often. But the problem is, as soon as you disappear, the light is then you just disappear into the ether. Like, I have people all the time that are like, I've not seen you in ages. And I'm like, I post every single day, but it's because they've clearly not engaged. Like, a few posts have come up, they've not engaged them. So then whatever algorithm on platform says they're not interested in Charelle, and so they stop showing. And so actually that's why I like, actually in my rotation, I purposely will have a more popular post that I will create, because I know that will then put me back in front of some people that I'll have dropped off in front of. So that's why there is always going to be a bit of a balance if you're in social. But there's a difference between what I class as being like trying to make a popular post just to get me back in front of actually people that are in my world already, versus trying to go viral, where that is more around trying to bring new people into your world. Right, done this one. So I have a TikTok and I'm considering closing my account, and Twitter. So I'm guessing you're on your phone, because it got said, what does Charlie think? And my phone also changes my name automatically all the time. So what I think Twitter, if you have got I think I would also check your numbers on your Twitter. Lots of people have been leaving Twitter over the platform. They are definitely dependent on what your brand values are. I would argue there are some people in droves that are like, I do not want to be connected with the platform, and so have left. So I think definitely with that, I would look at what you want to do with that. In terms of TikTok, I think you cannot be on every single platform. There is definitely potential, and I would argue way more potential on TikTok than there is on Twitter if I was going to have to choose to keep one going. However, obviously it's a video predominant platform, and that amount of video can be a lot of work for some people. So I think if you're using it, it's also thinking like, am I creating videos in other places, and therefore I'm getting more value out of the videos that I'm creating. And also, like, what phase of your business are you in? Like, are you in a sustaining phase or are you in a growth phase? Because if you are trying to grow, then obviously you've got two choices, which is what would TikTok answer for you? For example, is it like, one of the things TikTok is very good for is getting you in front of new people. That there is no denying that. It's a very good awareness one. So if you feel like the awareness part of your journey is weaker, then it definitely is something to consider. And again, this is something like I say to people when they're looking at what they have right now. So when you're doing your review, is look at what you have right now and then be like, what is the part that is performing the weakest at the moment? So if you're like, actually, I'm not getting enough new people in, like, actually, I'm really good once people in my world at converting them and that bit's doing really well, but I don't have enough people, then the new marketing channels or the channels you should be putting more focus back into are the ones that you can use for awareness. Whereas if you are someone that's like, actually, no, people come into my world and actually, like, I feel like I've probably got a bigger following and a bigger email list than what my sales are looking like, then it's like you need to look at more like, how do I engage better? How do I convert better? And using the platforms to strengthen that, and also upping your skills usually as well for that bit. So yeah, that was what I'd say. I hope that's been helpful, Ashley. I don't know if not, just message me. Right. My business is still a pre-start period. If my time is limited, should I invest in visibility on website or social media? And what is the most effective way to start drawing people in? If your pre-start period, it depends on, I mean, pre-start period, trying to get people to a website, I don't know what the value is going to be. If you're pre-start, you want to be building an audience. So I would either be like, you want to be building some social media following, or you want to be building your email list. Because your whole point should be that the moment you've got something to sell, you've actually got something to sell to. Hope that helps. If the target audience, e.g., luxury skincare user that I want to sell my products to, are not necessarily very similar to how I've identified myself, age, income group, lifestyle, etc., how should I consider the sharing human experience piece as building customer connection? Very good question. I like this one actually, because I think this is more common than you think, that actually who you your life and your, like, either your personality, your characteristics, demographic, etc., doesn't 100% always align with who you're going for. So that can be why, for some reason, as I said, like with some businesses, they get some other people in. Like some businesses are very strategic about now using someone else to be the face of their business, which they think is going to be more relevant. Also, if not, it's looking at, well, what are they going, like, you trying to be human. As I said, like some of the people, this, like the skincare woman that I follow, like, I'm not really into fashion. I'm not really into skincare. I really, really respect their, and there's a shoe woman that also I think of. The three of them that I just think, I just feel like they are doing the work. Like they're literally owning, like, I am making the best products possible. And that's why I find it really fascinating to actually follow their journeys and like what they're doing. So I'd feel as if, yeah, look at ways to be like, how can you, like, is there anything in your actual process around how your business operates that you can just be adding a personal human in a human element into, rather than it being like you are trying to be like sharing anything out. Like I don't know, like if you're a luxury skincare, I don't know if you like ever do make any, like make it. I don't know if you ever go to the manufacturers. I don't know like where you sell it, like because it could be like, if you're maybe where you're selling it, it could be you could get some like photos from those events, or if you have a shop, I don't know what, like how you're selling. So yeah, I think that's the way. But I think I just want to say to everyone, to like make it more general, is like, you do not have to be perfectly like your ideal client in order for people to buy from you, in order for people to connect with you. Actually, all you're trying to do is show there is a human behind a brand, rather than we're just a brand that it's a faceless brand that no one has any connection to. It's just about trying to make connection. Um, Can you explain how to start doing blogging posts, and which platform do you use for blog posts? So, if this, the easiest answer is you should be blogging on whatever your website is. So if you've got a Wix website, if you've got a WordPress website, if you've got a Squarespace website, whatever website you have, most of them all have a blogging functionality. And so that's where you just be starting. So you should be having a blog that's in your website. So the point is then that when people are coming to your blog, they've also been able to be on your website. And that means you can find out more information about them. That means they can find out more information about you. That means you can be cross-posting them to other types of things. Also, if you've got the right tagging, then it also might mean that then that's how some people start to do retargeting ads, etc. So yeah, you want to be doing it where your website is. Mel, if you want more information about this and you DM me, I've got loads of stuff about starting blogging, but I feel as if most people like know how to get going, and I've only got a few minutes left. Someone just asked about accessing the replay. So the replay, as far as I'm aware, will come directly from Small Business Britain in an email. Aside from social media and email, where else can I advertise my product-based business? I mean, there are endless ways to be selling. As I said, you can be running ads They can be on anything from a search engine. They can be anything on a specific website. They can be obviously doing through social media. You could be doing partnerships and promotions and collaborations and joint ventures and affiliates, anything where you're doing with anyone else's business. You can be, I don't know what type of business you've got, so maybe it makes more sense to do in-person things. You can be doing sponsorship, like the list of things you can do, Tess. Like actually that's the problem as a sorry, you have said you're a product-based business. As a product-based business, I could probably reel off 100 different ways to do your marketing. To adjust and shift marketing strategies, at which point should I consider getting customer feedback or a larger scale? Thank you very much, everyone. Don't worry, I know it's 12 o'clock on the dot. I just wanted to try and finish everyone's questions. I will quickly say, again, just a big thank you to BT Digital Skills for the Support in Small Business Saturday webinar program. Thank you to everyone else who's come in. If you are to leave, do not worry, but I will answer these last few questions for the people that have put them in the chat. So... to adjust and shift marketing strategies, at which point should I consider getting customer feedback or larger scale email surveys? Customer feedback, I would be arguing, get the feedback all the time. Get your feedback from as early as you can, as continuously as you can, like actually getting automated an email sequence that goes out X amount of time after someone buys something, for example, make your life easy. From the sounds of it, you saying like talking about doing a larger scale email survey. I mean, obviously you want a sufficient amount of number of people to be emailing to do that type of survey to make it worthwhile. Like I'd say you want it to be like hundreds or thousands, but don't stop getting feedback just because you think it's too small. The sooner you get feedback, the more you can iterate, the more you can improve. Like being on feedback from the beginning is going to make your business so much better. Right, current content is product focused and big brand aesthetic. How to transition to the true small brand we are without damaging the large brand customer thinking? Oh, that is a very specific and tricky question. I mean, I think you'd have to work out what it is about being a smaller brand that is going to damage your appearance. I would probably be like, could you be pushing? Can you try and push maybe you a bit more as the founder? And so you're getting some human stuff as a founder-led story, but keeping the business underneath the same, and then you can shift it over time. I don't know if that makes any sense, Joe. I'm really happy to have a bit more of a conversation afterwards because this is a very specific one. But I know what you're trying to say about if people think you're a really big brand. It's like when people put we on everything and they're an I, and then all of a sudden people are like, well, if I take that away, people are going to be like, oh. Also, most people aren't paying that much attention as one thing. So actually a lot of people aren't going to notice. But you definitely, I would say it's about doing a transition, working out which things are vital to still communicate and make sure that those things stay core, and working out what are the areas that can change with having minimal impact on the business. All right, I think I've got, oh my gosh, I thought there was only two more. I feel like people have put more in since I stopped. Someone's asked blog on Substack or website. Without knowing the rest of your marketing strategy, I would never advise on that. There has absolutely been a rise of people using Substack, but you have to have a very strategic reason for using it and how it connects with someone else. So a really interesting thing actually recently has been Lucy Werner, who had been very, very public about Substack, has moved virtually a whole business over to having a Substack. And I saw a few weeks ago, she's now moved it back onto her website. I hadn't actually had a chat with her to work out the reasoning behind it, but I'm sure there is. So Sue, I will ask that question. And if you want to come back to me about Substack website, I will follow up with you. Which platforms would be the most suitable for SaaS businesses? I probably need to know a bit more. I mean, most people obviously SaaS are going to be like, one, they're going to focus on where they're like what their ideal client is. You see SaaS will sponsor a lot of stuff. So yeah, SaaS obviously do adverts, they do emails, they do social media, they do a lot of banner adverts, they do a lot of joint ventures, and then they will do sponsorships as well. Like they're things that I definitely see SaaS providers. They go to events, because they go to like the big industry things where they know people, like the professionals that want that software, for example, are going to be there, or the businesses that want that software are going to be there. So yeah, there is, again, lots and lots of options. I think a few people have asked about options. I want to make this very clear. You have got endless options. Your budget, your time, and your money is what's going to enable you to work out what you can do. And then the right mix, as I said, is you need to work out how is that then going to take people through the whole buy journey. Someone's asked about clear CTAs on social media. I'm not going to cover that here, like, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, there is a replay. What else we got? When writing an email newsletter, I don't get a lot of conversions. Is there a good way of getting interactions and sales? So if you're not getting a lot of conversions on your email newsletter, I absolutely would recommend one, you looking at your actual email copywriting style and being like, actually, what am I doing in your actual emails? But also you need to look at how else are you using email? It might be that your newsletter as a whole should be much more for nurturing, and then based on what people are taking action, you are then being able to do follow-up automated email sequences that are more sales focused. That would be two things to look at. So yeah, look specifically actually at your copywriting, and be like, have I been actually putting the time and effort into up this as a skill and really understand how to get people to convert? But also look, actually, like, go back to your most engaged people. So many people, this is what I'm saying about people got data. Like, there's a whole load of people in your newsletter that are never going to be that interested, but you've probably got a segment of like super engaged people, and you could probably target them and get better conversion. Oh, someone said, did I have a link to my freebie rather than the QR code? Yeah, I did that. We are a B2B service. We don't have a face. I am new to the sector, so I don't feel confident in video. What should I do? Also need audience growth tips for Facebook in particular. So if you're not confident in video and you don't have a face, I mean, I'm going to tell you is just get going. If you don't have, I mean, the fact that you're asking for audience growth tips suggests to me you don't have a biggest following. So actually, what harm is it going to do right now? Like, I always say to people when people are really nervous about stuff and they're also trying to grow, I'm like, this is time to make mistakes. No one knows. Hardly anyone is seeing you. So this is the time to go for it. I use social media for awareness engagement. Would you suggest that reels are more awareness orientated than static carousels stories? And so reels, the actual way for you to answer if reels are for awareness or for engagement is for you to go into your Instagram stats and look at the percentage that is shown to followers versus the percentage that's not. So I always make my clients do this. And the reason why I'm telling you to do this is because there isn't an answer. Because sometimes for some people, it is getting shown more to their followers, and sometimes it actually is getting pushed out to other people. On the whole, it seems to be if your reels get past a certain point, then they're more likely to get pushed out into a higher percentage of non-followers. Whereas if your reach is fairly limited, normally it's more likely to be just for your followers. So, and actually knowing that is important. This is why I'm saying trial reels is a really interesting thing right now, because actually what that enables people to do that know that their reels that are on their page are actually for their followers is you can be creating nurturing, engaging content for your reels that are people you know on your feed, and then you can be creating different types of reels that are for awareness on your trial reels because you know they're going in front of new people. And actually that means you can split your content in a such more productive way, very different clear calls to actions. Oh, it's a strategy. I love it. So I get excited sometimes. What are your thoughts on meta ads? My experience is they create awareness but they don't result in leads. It's not that you're doing them wrong, it's probably you set them up for leads. So like any advert, as I said, like there's prospecting, there's retargeting. So if you were doing ads that you were saying they were creating awareness, to me that sounds like you were doing prospecting ads. You were doing some type of demographic targeting that was making people be like, this is like, I want this type of people, and then I'm doing them. Whereas maybe if you wanted conversion, you'd have been better off doing some retargeting ads. So that could have been anything from like, if someone has, this is a really good strategy, like if you're doing video, for example, people that have watched a video and they have watched over 50% of it, then you retarget them. People that have watched any of these specific videos, or they have been on this page, like, or they've clicked on this, then you retarget them. Like that's how when you see, you know, when you see adverts and you feel like you're getting stalked. My example is a sofa. I wanted to buy this sofa a few years ago and then it stalked me for 3 weeks. Like that's retargeting ads. So that's what's going to end up to be like, okay. Sorry, Kerry. You want the link again? I've just put. Is this not working? Can you see this, Kerry? Or Kern, sorry. So yeah, like you need to work out, am I doing prospecting ads? Am I doing retargeting ads? And you should be able to you have to run different campaigns, but there is no denying ads are still a fantastic way to make money. All right, answer that. In regards, all right, go. In regards to LinkedIn, do you think having a business profile is not worth it in the case of limited followers and may just post your business? Okay, so I have a business post. I have a business profile. Most people, if you have less than 1,000 followers on your business profile, it's not going to be of great traction and value. I use it more as a what do you call it? Just as a reference point, because if someone is on your profile and they see your business, they're going to go through to it. Also, sometimes it might be that someone does tag your business, for example, and also if people are like talking about your business and they go and search for your business and they find your page, you want them to find something. I tell most people to use their LinkedIn business page in the same way that you'd like would have like it used to be like the I don't know, not the news feature, but basically being like, you want it to seem alive, but you don't want to be putting your whole heart and soul into it. Like, you want to make sure people feel like this is still a legitimate business. It reinforces whatever's on your website or whatever they might have consumed somewhere else, but do not put your whole heart and soul to it. As I said, yeah, if you've got a personal profile, that's going to be obviously where you'd put most of your time and energy. All right. What is, okay. Celia, can you recommend anyone who can help with setting automated emails? And I send newsletters. I can help you. Just DM me. All right, the last one. What is the best system to create an automated feedback session? I don't know if you mean a session like you wanted to do a group one. I usually, with most people's feedback, would be like literally do a triggered email. So basically, like if you purchase as part of your post-purchase sequence, you would have that in there. Oh, okay. Kern, okay, I'll see if I can quickly go back. I think that's literally everyone. Yeah, Kern, I think it's because you're on your phone. Right, that is everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. I think that's every single question. If I didn't manage to get on someone's questions, right, Kern, I'll put it back up on the screen. Hopefully you can see this. If there's anything I didn't answer, please, as I said, come and find me on LinkedIn, come and find me on Instagram, DM me, say you came today. I will try and answer anything else that didn't happen. I hope that's been great. As I said, thank you to BT Digital. Hope everyone does take some action. Thank you for everyone that stayed late, but I hope everyone getting their answers question helped.